Picture this: Phil Gould, the undisputed king of rugby league commentary and the man who pulls strings behind the scenes at Canterbury, unleashing a blistering attack on the NRL's top brass during a live broadcast, calling out scheduling decisions that he claims hand unfair advantages to certain teams. And suddenly, sources reveal a heated private fallout with league executives that could change everything. What started as outspoken opinions has exploded into whispers of a full-blown power struggle threatening Gould's influence forever. Smash that subscribe button on all sports updates right now to stay locked in on every twist in the NRL's biggest dramas. Phil Gould has always been the voice that shakes the foundations of rugby league, a legend whose career spans playing, coaching premierships, and reshaping clubs from the brink of oblivion. Known affectionately as Gus, his blunt honesty on Channel 9 and his podcast 6 Tackles with Gus has made him a fan favorite for calling it like he sees it, whether praising brilliant plays or slamming what he views as flaws in the game. But in recent years, that very outspokenness has landed him in hot water repeatedly, turning admiration into controversy and sparking feuds that ripple through the entire NRL ecosystem. It all escalated dramatically when Gould erupted over the preliminary final scheduling, accusing the league of prioritizing the AFL Grand Final and giving teams like the Melbourne Storm extra recovery days, an unfair edge heading into the decider. His words, "Bugger the AFL Grand Final," echoed across headlines, igniting debates among fans and officials alike. This wasn't just another rant. Insiders say it struck a nerve with NRL CEO Andrew Abdo and power broker Peter V'landys, who see Gould's media platform as a double-edged sword. As general manager at the Bulldogs, Gould wields enormous power, rebuilding the club into contenders while extending contracts for himself and coach Cameron Ciraldo until 2031. Yet, his history of clashing with authority dates back further. Fined $20,000 in 2024 for labeling the game stupid over refereeing and rules, a sanction he appealed and had suspended. The pattern continued into 2025, with Gould walking off set twice on 100% footy to avoid breaching gag orders on criticizing referees, a move that highlighted his frustration with restrictions on free speech for club officials. Compelling storytelling emerges from his past triumphs, coaching Penrith and Canterbury to glory young, captaining teams as a teenager, and masterminding state of origin dominance for NSW. But the surprise element hits when examining his recruitment battles, particularly the Lachlan Galvin saga. Gould initially denied any interest or contact with the West Tigers prodigy, only for the Bulldogs to snap him up mid-season, drawing accusations of misleading the public and tampering. Media scrutiny was relentless, with journalists like Michael Chamas clashing on air, and fans divided over whether Gould's influence scares the NRL into inaction, rules against using media to court players seemingly tailored to curb his reach, yet never fully enforced against him. This perceived untouchability fuels the feud narrative. Club bosses whisper that the league fears confronting Gould head-on due to his media clout and historical ties. Adding layers, his on-again off-again relationships with figures like Roosters chairman Nick Politis remain frosty years after departures, and even health scares in 2025, including heart surgery, couldn't dim his fire upon return for grand final commentary. The emotional depth shines in moments like his surprise 50-year celebration, where legends like Brad Fittler credited Gould as a father figure, revealing the loyalty he inspires amid the conflicts. Yet, the core tension builds around his critiques of modern rules, hip drops, obstructions, trainer incidents, all painting him as a defender of old-school footy against a softening game driven by lawyers and doctors rather than players and coaches. Surprise twists include anonymous sources claiming private meetings where V'landys allegedly warned Gould to tone down attacks, fearing they undermine the product. Fans rally with polls showing majority support for his views, while critics label him arrogant, pointing to supercoach abuse forcing social media breaks in the past. As the Bulldogs rise, Gould's vision of development pathways and youth investment contrasts sharply with league-wide issues he highlights, like by points and judiciary overhauls. The narrative captivates because Gould embodies the clash between tradition and evolution. His feuds aren't personal vendettas but battles for the soul of rugby league. From shutting down rumors on player injuries to praising overlooked talents, his every word moves markets and minds. The build-up peaks with questions. Will the NRL finally clamp down, or does Gould's intimidation factor, described by insiders as surpassing even V'landys, protect him? Redemption arcs from past fines and health battles show resilience, but ongoing scheduling rants and rule wars suggest the feud simmers hotter than ever. In a sport of fierce loyalties, Gould's story is one of a man unafraid to fight giants, winning admirers and enemies in equal measure. As 2025 closes with the Bulldogs poised for glory, the league watches warily, knowing one sharp comment could ignite the next explosion. This power play exposes vulnerabilities at the top, where one voice can challenge the establishment, keeping fans hooked on what Gus says next. Dive deeper into NRL's hottest stories. Subscribe to all sports updates today. The feud deepens when dissecting Gould's role as both insider and outsider, a media giant critiquing the hand that feeds through broadcasting deals while running a club dependent on league funding. His outbursts on trainer bans, like defending Penrith's Corey Bocking against what he called the greatest beat-up, draw lines between old guard and new administration, with Abdo publicly pushing back on social media influence swaying decisions. Storytelling thrives on contrasts, Gould's heartfelt tributes at funerals and player mentorship versus fiery podcast tirades demanding coaches' input over bureaucrats. The surprise revelation? Leaked details from charity events where Gould and rivals like Wayne Bennett bury hatchets temporarily, only for rule disputes to reignite sparks. Fans dissect every episode of Six Tackles with Gus, where recovery advantages and celebration rules get dissected, amplifying divides. Gould's health battles in 2025 humanize him, hospital tweets reassuring fans amid significant concerns, yet he returns stronger, commentating grand finals and naming teams of the year excluding big names, stirring more debate. The Galvin recruitment remains a flashpoint, with Gould dismissing childish narratives while admitting opportunities arose unexpectedly, fueling tampering suspicions that the NRL probes but never resolves. Broader implications emerge in calls for judiciary reforms alongside Cameron Smith, highlighting too many charges eroding excitement. Tension mounts from gag orders forcing set walk-offs, a silent protest speaking volumes about suppressed voices. Gould's legacy as the most intimidating figure, per former executives, casts a shadow where clubs fear his endorsements or condemnations. Personal anecdotes from players like Fittler underscore mentorship that builds empires, yet feuds with Paulitis linger unspoken for years.